We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Good morning, good morning. You guys, I'm trying to manage all the different platforms. So if it looks like I'm not looking at you, that means I'm looking at somebody else somewhere else. I am your fierce and fabulous immigration attorney, Kiki Gilman, coming to you live from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I represent clients in all different states, so it doesn't matter where you live. And I've been representing clients in immigration matters for about 12 years, and I am a fierce advocate and counselor for victims of domestic violence. And also, if you're just married or you've been married for a while and you're ready to get that green card filed, I am the one to assist you with that. So, good morning on TikTok. If you are on Facebook or YouTube and YouTube, share this live with your friends, with your family members, because you never know who could need this information. So today, I want to talk about emotional abuse and what that means in the VAWA context, right? So if you follow me or you look at my videos or you come on my lives every morning, even though we don't have any music, it's all good. I talk a lot about the emotional abuse aspect of VAWA cases. So VAWA is an option for anyone who is married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, or is the parent of a U.S. citizen who's at least 21 years old, or you are a child of a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and this person is using their status as a green card holder, U.S. citizen, to emotionally, psychologically, or physically abuse you, to manipulate you, to control you. Power dynamic is not even, because they know that you rely on them to get status, right? A lot of my cases are with spouses. I also do a lot with parents. If you are married to a U.S. citizen or green card holder and they are threatening you with deportation, they are basically have you working just so you can pass over all your income to them, because they tell you that they're the only reason why you can actually work in the United States. Or they make you feel like their problems in life are because of you, right? Or they essentially make you feel worthless. These are all forms of emotional abuse. And it doesn't matter if they've never physically hurt you. You could qualify for a 10-year green card if we can show that the relationship was legitimate, the relationship is real, and this person is hurting you emotionally and psychologically. Okay? The benefits of a VAWA green card are that you can get a work permit. You don't have to rely on this person, this partner, this spouse to get you your green card. You're able to get your travel document if you don't have deportation proceedings. It is 100% confidential. No one has to know. It's only between your attorney and you and anyone that you have assisting you with putting your application together, like your affidavits or people to say, I know what was going on in this relationship. My friend talked to me about it, and I really, I was a witness to it. It is a completely confidential process and really a way for you to gain your liberation. Okay, we have a question on Facebook and Instagram. Is it possible to get residence through VAWA just with emotional? Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I tell you? The question was, is it possible to get a residence through VAWA with just emotional abuse? Most of my cases do not have physical abuse. They're mostly emotional and psychological abuse, because one of the elements of the statute is physical or emotional psychological abuse that rises to the level of extreme cruelty. So let me give you some examples of what emotional abuse looks like. Using you and threatening you with deportation, and basically having you do things for them and threatening you that if you didn't do XYZ, they would call immigration. Calling you names. You're ugly, you're old, you're fat, you're too skinny, you're short, things like that. Things to demean you and to make you feel as though you're not, your humanity essentially is compromised, right? The other element of emotional abuse is sometimes Someone walks into a room and they don't say anything to you. They're just, hi, Abim. Hi, how are you? Good morning, therapy work. Good morning, everyone. Oh, guys, next Monday, I have a licensed therapist that's going to be on with me on Monday, this coming Monday and the following Monday. And she's going to delve deep into what emotional abuse looks like. Because the truth is, a lot of times, you don't even know you're being abused. You're so used to that treatment. You're so used to being second fiddle. You're so used to being told you're not worthy. You're so used to being told you're worthless that you don't realize that this level of mistreatment is could give you a path to a green card, and you really do not need the spouse to do it for you. Let me give you guys an example of a case that I'm working on. Well, actually, it's an example that really applies to a lot of cases that I'm working on right now. And it's particularly when the spouse has the green card application in, right? So now they've sent the application into USCIS, and they are constantly telling, I'm going to call the lawyer and tell the lawyer not to file it. I'm going to call the lawyer and tell the lawyer not to submit the application. Oh, I already called the lawyer. Oh, don't use my this, don't use my that. Oh, I'm not responding to this RFE. I'm not sending in my taxes. These are all part of, because they know that your liberty in this country rests on your status. And if they're threatening to send you back to your home country, who knows what your home country, why you left? Who knows what your life would be like if you were to be sent back? Even if you were not technically sent back or deported, being in the United States without status is not a way to live. That's no way to live. So guys, tap in next Monday, and the Monday after that, we are going to have a licensed therapist who's going to really delve into emotional and psychological abuse. And we can actually get a lot of insight and see how a lot of people can use the information and education coming from a professional who deals with cases like this, and maybe you can identify how those aspects are actually part of what you're experiencing. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, please throw them in the box. YouTube and Facebook is still sleeping. Y'all, it's so hard. I got 4 screens right now. I'm trying to look at Instagram. I'm trying to look at TikTok. Because I just finally broke 1,000 followers in TikTok, so they let me get on there and do live. So I don't know how to act, but anyway, we live on TikTok, child, because we got 1,000 followers now. So now we're legit. We got, we can go live. So this is my first time going live on TikTok. I'm sorry, if you're on TikTok and you have a question, I'm going to try to get to it. But Instagram, good morning, everyone. Lioness Queen, Stiggity, King Breezy, Alejandra. Good morning, my regulars. Okay, YouTube and Facebook, they're asleep. I don't know, y'all. They are really asleep over there right now. But I know my Instagram folks, y'all never disappoint. So, yesterday, I was reading several declarations and VAWA packets from cases that are getting ready to go out, because in my office, nothing leaves the office without going through me. I am the attorney. I have to do the legal analysis. I have to review everything. And, reading these stories, it's heartbreaking. And you can feel the fear and the terror in my clients because their spouses, because most of our cases are spouses, even though parents can also qualify in children. But a lot of my spouses are so scared, and they don't know what to do, and they just pour it out in their declaration, and they pour it out in the application. And it's important, because that is what USCIS is going to look at and make the determination as to whether or not you qualify to get this benefit. They have to see the harm through your story. Okay, we have a question on, we have a question on Instagram. My friend and her husband had the same last name. He wants to file for her and get a green card. Will there be an issue? No, people have the same last name. I'm guessing they have the same last names, but they're not related. Yeah, I mean, if they're married and, they're not, it's not like siblings married, because you can't be married to a sibling in the United States. I think in the US you can marry a cousin, like a second cousin, but I don't think you can marry a sibling. As long as they're not related, it should be fine. And it's funny that you ask that question, because typically USCIS has an issue when you don't have the same last name. It's not really a big deal, because I've encountered where the officer will ask, why didn't you change your name? And I'm just like, because they don't have to. Next question. So, okay. Hi, happy 43 dainty. Greetings. If someone went for an interview, was denied, and was sent to leave in 35 days, but experienced emotional abuse from her husband, can they now file for VAWA? We can certainly do do a consultation, because it sounds like the adjustment of status, the marriage green card application was denied, and it's very standard for USCIS to send that letter saying that your benefit was denied, you have to leave the United States. That's normal. Let's do a consultation and see if there's a case there for a VAWA. Why was it denied? What was going on in the marriage? Those are the questions that I ask. Why was this case denied? What did the U.S. citizen or green card holder spouse, did they sabotage the interview? Did they lie? What was really going on? Let's do a consultation. All right, so good morning. Good morning, you guys. I'm trying to manage all these different platforms. I'm trying to keep up. This is a lot. All right. So if you guys have a question, let me know, and I would be happy to answer it. Okay. So again, emotional psychological abuse, a lot of people don't know it qualifies. But the thing is, you need to understand what looks like emotional psychological abuse in order for you to identify that as what's going on in your life. If you don't know what emotional psychological abuse looks like, you wouldn't know. So some gaslighting, right? Making someone actually verbally and emotionally abusing you, but then turning around and making you feel as though you owe them an apology. I see that often in my declarations with my clients, where they say, he walked in or she walked in, called me names, started swearing at me, throwing things around the room, and then 2 hours later or 3 days, and then, didn't come and sleep in the room that night. And the next day I went and I apologized. And I'm reading like, well, what did you really do? But it's the mental and the manipulation. So they misbehave and they treat you poorly, and then they get you to think that you are the one that's at fault, and you're not, and you need to give them an apology, because it kind of like flips things around. That's called manipulation, and that's emotional psychological abuse. All right. Good morning. Oh, look, not Facebook. Instagram is really busy today. Meanwhile, Facebook and YouTube are sleeping. All right, let's see who's on TikTok. I'm really excited to be on TikTok, because I know that's a platform that's been growing a lot in the last, 2 to 3 years. So I'm happy to reach that demographic and reach that community and share the information with everyone, because when it comes to VAWA cases, if someone misses that window and that opportunity, particularly if you've been divorced, but even if you're not divorced, no one should really have to live in fear and under the control of another person ever. I mean, as a human, the idea is, as long as you're not committing crimes and being locked up, you should be free. You should be free physically, you should be free emotionally, you should be free mentally. And the fact that someone tries to control your existence because they believe they can give you a green card, or because they believe they have the power to give you a green card, that's not acceptable. All right, guys, what questions do you have for me today? Ask the questions in the box. Guys, we're doing 15% off every case that is retained in the month of July. If you call me and retain me August 1st, it doesn't apply. There are some exceptions, but call. Let's do a consultation and let's see if it applies to you. Okay, so that's 15%. It's called a Freedom 15. I did Freedom 15 because we're in the month of July, which is, I guess, American Independence, Freedom Month. So I love a good alliteration or a good play on words. So Freedom 15 for the month of July, if the case is retained in the month of July. All right? Okay. So, I think someone just sent me a message, but I can't open it because if I open the message, then I won't be able to. I think the live may go out. But if you have a question, put that in the box and I'll answer it so everyone can have the benefit of hearing the response, because maybe they have the same question, but they're too shy to ask. And I know if you're too shy to ask the question, not a problem. You can ask me the question, and then after the live, I'll answer it so everyone can hear. Everyone can get the response. All right. Good morning. Good morning. So going back to, these declarations are powerful. When you write a declaration for your VAWA case, someone asked about, why do you need a fingerprint? Because they got to know who you are. They got to know what's up with you. The U.S. government, the federal government, they have to make sure you're not a terrorist. You're not out here killing folks. You're not a spy. Everyone has to get fingerprinted. And so you do, if you're seeking a benefit through the U.S. government, USCIS, you have to get fingerprinted. Speaking about fingerprinting and biometrics, let me share something that's been happening quite often at these with the biometrics notices. And it's happened in the past. USCIS is sending out notices for biometrics, and they're putting the location in a completely different city and state that you live in. So let me give you a few examples. We just received a biometrics appointment notice for a client in New York, and USCIS put the biometrics location where the client should go next week as Minneapolis. Well, they don't live here, and they're not going to fly to Minneapolis for biometrics. So what you do in a case like that, if you get a biometrics notice and the address is wrong, literally like they've scheduled it in a completely different city and state that you live, instead of calling to reschedule, because rescheduling could really set you back, show up to your appointment in your city. So find the location where biometrics is captured in your city and just give them a notice. And in our experience, that's what we do for our clients. They still go ahead and process the biometrics without any issues, okay? Certainly if you arrive at the center and they're like, no, you need to reschedule, then you just really met a really crabby and a bad officer that day or person at the local center. But so far, we haven't had any issues. We send our clients in and they capture the biometrics. So you have an appointment, they just have the wrong location. Right? It could have been a typo or whatever. So don't fret if you see that. Don't ignore it. Just show up on the date, at the time, and give them the notice that you have, even though it has a completely different location and address. Okay. I hope that helps, and I hope that answers your question, Nori Cakes. Yes, everyone needs to be fingerprinted. They need to make sure that you're not a criminal, you're not a spy, you're not a terrorist. So that's very, very important. And also, I also want to make sure people are fingerprinted. So, public safety is really important. All right. I want to also touch on marriage green cards, right? Marriage green cards, when you file right after getting married and meeting, you haven't really established your life, you don't have a lot of assets, you probably barely have a bank account, you may or may not have a lease, you don't have a home, you don't have a lot of things. I mean, some people meet and they get married really, really quick, or they date for a short time and get married, and you don't have a lot of documents. Don't let that discourage you from submitting your application, or don't let that delay you from submitting your application. There are two phases in the document submission for USCIS and marriage green cards. The first phase is what you submit when you submit your forms, right? So the forms, your I-130, I-485, I-765, 131, and all that. Submit what you have. If you have photos together, submit that. Certainly, you definitely would have had photos from your wedding, right? I would hope you took photos at your wedding. Submit photos from your wedding. Submit affidavits from friends and family that knew you when you dated. Maybe they were at your wedding. Maybe they were a witness. Have them write something. So that's kind of very basic. That's base evidence that you can submit to start. Between when you submit your application and when you are called for an interview or possibly an RFE, start gathering more evidence. evidence. Like literally start gathering more evidence, right? So I know you won't be able to get a bank account or credit cards without a social. So as soon as you get that EAD card, that work permit, and you have that social, go ahead and apply and get a joint account. Go ahead and get a joint credit card. Join as many accounts as you possibly can. Go and join a gym and have a joint membership. Anything else, anything with both names on the utility bills, if you don't need a social, go ahead and put both names, because that helps your case. So when they send an RFE, you can go ahead and you can submit those, okay? Okay, let me go. We're not doing these lives together. Folks are requesting to join lives. Okay, we're not doing that right now. All right, so don't be discouraged. Go ahead and submit your application and supplement with additional evidence later, okay? So, all right. Guys, does anyone have an interview, a notice of intent to deny? Have you gone to your marriage green card interview and you were told that, you got a letter in the mail saying that they found your marriage not to be valid, not to be bona fide? Why are they saying that your marriage is not bona fide? USCIS, they actually have to have something called substantive and probative evidence to show that your marriage is not real. A lot of officers don't know that standard. If they think that your marriage is not what they think a marriage should be, they just assume that it's for immigration purposes and it's fraud. As far as the evidence that you have to submit to show that your marriage is legitimate, it's simply the preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not, meaning over 50%. Whereas for them to say that your marriage is fake or not real, it has to be substantive and probative. And if these terms sound off, and I get it, it just means that they have to have a lot more evidence to say your marriage is not real, whereas you just need to have more than enough to show that it is real. All right? All right, guys. Well, if I don't have any more questions, managing these 3 platforms today, no, 4, it was a little difficult. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm just used to talking to Instagram but now I got TikTok, I got YouTube, I got Facebook. I got to get used to this. All right, loves. Well, if I don't have any other questions, y'all, I'm going to hop off. It is a beautiful Friday on my end. Certainly hope it's a beautiful Friday on your end. I'll be on here. I told you guys on Monday, I have a licensed therapist. We'll be on Instagram. So I don't know, folks on the other platforms, you guys may miss it. But, so no, you won't. Because just go on Instagram and follow me on Instagram. And so you get all the, the good information. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, Gilman Immigration _ law. And you get to see the live on Monday and the Monday after that. All right, guys. Well, you guys have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you on here on Monday. Bye.